I'm sorry, but this little noodle, this hot dog looking lure, it's broken. Now, this video isn't just about the Senko. The Senko, by far, is a broken lure. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Obviously, Senko is known for Gary Yamamoto, who invented the thing, which, I mean, deserves all the praise. Because, I mean, look at this interview.
And I said to Gary, I'm a professional fisherman, and I've been asked to evaluate a lot of lures in my day. It's just the worst, ugliest, nastiest looking lure I've ever seen in my life. I said, don't bring it on the market. The Senko, it's not going to sell.
Yeah, you know it's bad when a pro at the time goes, yeah, your product's stupid. I would definitely not release this. And this man literally goes, okay, watch this. And releases probably the best lure to be ever made. Period. I don't care. It's done. It's done. This right here is the top lure. I don't care what else you say. This, if you throw this, you're gonna catch fish. It just works, and it makes no sense. It's a hot dog. I'm just saying. If you guys want to learn some tips and some things that I found out about the wacky rig through using it for several years, I will be talking more about that at the end of the video. But right now, let's just look at these stats. I mean, it's stacked. Look at this thing. And the craziest part is this lure's not even just based around catching tons of fish. It's also known for catching biggins. I mean, big fish. I mean, I caught, a decent-sized fish at a pond that only really produces nothing greater than 1.5 pounds. I mean, the stats are broken. The price is broken. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could go to Walmart right now, go to the Ozark Trail section, and literally buy a pack of these kinds of worms for $1. $1. All right? You don't understand. These things are broken and need to be nerfed immediately. Oh, all right. I'm going to let the video play with all the catches I had of the day just to show you how broken this lure is. And then after that, I'm going to tell you guys some tips that I've learned and some things that can help you if you're just starting out, or if you've been using wacky rigs and you haven't known these tips and want to try them out to help you catch maybe bigger fish or more fish or be more effective when you use a wacky rig. So, I'll see you all at the end of the video. Outplayed simply. What are you, stuck?
I said, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's a bat. Oh my gosh. What the? Bro. Hey bro, remember I said there's not biggins? Oh my gosh! Look at that tank, bro!
Hey, what's your scale?
Oh.
Which one?
Hold on. Yeah, he's holding more 310.
Okay. Not the one Amethyst had.
Yeah, it's a little bigger than Amethyst.
Yeah, it's 310.
Oh! No, she didn't.
Oh. No,
She had 3-1. Oh.
Hey, I was gonna cast over there if you want to go.
YouTube is just like actual fishing.
Alright, cool.
Oh, there's another one. Hey, do you want to use what we're using? Huh? Do you want to throw what I'm using?
No, I have to go. My mom's.
Oh. Hey. Oh, and he's gone. You know, quick release. Here, but anyway, here. Hi-ya. Here's one. Oh, how you doing? Right here, right now, tearing up live. There's one. There we go. There's a little squeaky. Please just don't send the hook out like your last friend. Thank you, my friend. Ready? I'm gonna have to send you out far, buddy. Whee! They don't have enough. If I put on like a normal set. See, what did I say? What did I
Do a flip!
say about the pop? Oh. Yep, there it is.
Yep, there we go.
Yep, there it is. Yep, catching giants. Catching giants. Look at that. Woo! That's new PB right there.
Wait, you gonna weigh that?
Yeah, get the scale out. Actually, that's definitely not my PB. I've caught some giant sticks in my past. Hold on, look, he's beating me.
Oh my god.
Bro actually just showed me up on sticks.
Look at that.
Look at that.
Talking
My,
about, bro.
my
Look at this.
goodness, bro is.
Absolute monster. Dude, this guy's totally overcompensating for something.
That is a giant,
Look at
bro.
that thing.
Let me get a photo.
Hey man,
Anyway,
don't just hook my balls if there was a hook on that.
there was. Probably heard the echo. There's an echo. Oh yeah.
I didn't hear it.
Here's one.
I couldn't hear it over this stupid.
Sir, my worm. Do you mind not flinging it off?
I don't know how I'm not catching anything. I'm fishing in the exact same spot as you, using the exact same thing. This game is great.
All right, bye, fella. Fishy, fishy. What the?
Who are you?
Okay, free lure. Heck yeah. So. Oh, how long have you had this? Oh, my bad. Oh, he came off right there. There he goes. Yeah, it's kind of my bad. He must have been on there for a while. That's what I'm saying. Here's one. Perfectly at the corner of the mouth. Thank you, my brother. It's another beaut. Look at that.
Look at this.
Look at that.
Look
You know
at
what?
this.
We've been doing it wrong. I can't even. Oh, it's a real bad. He's a feisty fella.
Hey.
Good luck getting the hook off. Okay, I didn't think you were gonna let go. You absolutely baited me there.
Hey man.
You got a little fella. But what did I say? Right there. Let's go to the other side. Let's fish that, and then we can head out. Just because. So yeah, that was a pretty good day. And what made it even better was the fact that was just, it started out as just such a bad day at that pond. We weren't getting any bites. Nothing was happening. And then we switched over to wacky rigs. And I mean, we were catching them. I mean, it was a good day. For a day at this pond that wasn't so good, turned out to be pretty good when we switched over. Now, some tactics and fun tips. I know you guys are ready for this. So if you're new to fishing or you're into fishing and you just don't throw wacky rigs and you want to get into it and you want to know some tips, I got a few tips for you. So first thing you're going to need to do, if you're going to go wacky rig fishing, you got to go into Walmart or whatever store you want to and pick up yourself a pack of worms, whether that be the Gary Yamamoto Senkos, the Yum Dingers. I know Zoom makes some. I know pretty much every brand out there, if they make soft plastics, they usually make these forms of baits. So go pick up whatever you want, whether it's expensive, cheap. Honestly, they all work. Some work a little bit better than others, but they will work in the sense of catching a lot of fish and having a good day on the water. So now that you've picked, you know, whatever brand you want, whatever ones you want. One thing to keep in mind if you're just getting into fishing, I recommend you find out what the color of the water is going to be when you're going fishing. So usually a good rule of thumb is to get one for each type of water. So, you know, if you're going to have muddy, murky water, you want something dark. So your blues, your blacks, you want those colors. And then if the water is going to be clear and very visible, I'd get more natural colors. So like your green pumpkin, your watermelon flake, get those colors. So I'd get one of each and see what works best. So when you arrive to the pond or the lake, if you know what it's going to be, pick out specifically for that. But if you don't, buy one of each, and when you get there, you can figure out, okay, this water's dark. I'm going to use my dark colors to stand out in this water. Recently, I've actually been not using regular Senkos. While I do like using the regular typical Senkos, the 5-inch, the 4-inch, in my opinion, if you're fishing ponds, depending on the size, use like a 4-inch. If you're fishing lakes, obviously go for the 5-inch. And if you're really trying to target the big ones, go for a 6-inch Senko. Now, one thing I actually found very recently that's been working really, really well. You've seen it in this video. If you notice, oh gosh, I can't speak. The Senko I'm using, or the worm I'm using, it's a little bit smaller. So what these are the Zoom Finesse worms in the black color. These things have been crushing it at ponds. I'm going to try very soon bringing these Zoom Finesse worms in a wacky rig style to some lakes to see if they hold up just as well. But I think the reason why these are working so well is because Senkos work so well because they're very subtle. It's a very subtle, easy meal for bass. So they just can't resist it. When it falls right in front of their face, it's super easy, super subtle. They don't think twice about it. With that said, having an even more subtle approach could trigger these bass to biting even more. So that's why when I found these in my bag, I just bought these one day because I just wanted to throw like a finesse worm. I was like, hey, I wonder if I could throw these on a wacky rig style. And I was catching fish after fish. And I believe it's because it's such a subtle and simple approach. These bass don't think twice about eating it. They just look at it and go, okay, I'm going to eat that. So if you've never tried this before, I do recommend, go try it out. Go buy those Zoom Finesse worms. And it could be whatever color. I prefer the black color. It's been working for me in clear and muddy water. So I've been using that color, and just wacky rig it and try it out. I promise you. You're going to go through a lot of them because they're very, very soft. They're very light. They're, like, not very durable. Let's just say that. So you're going to go through a lot of them. Luckily, there's 20 in a package, but they are pretty good. They've worked for me, and that's all I've been throwing in ponds recently. So that's another tip that I have for you guys. Try these Zoom Finesse worms out. I promise you will not be disappointed. And now for the second part of the wacky rig is the hook. There is a third part, but that's like a maybe. The hook. And this can get very specific. If you want to be able to cast around heavy cover as well as no cover and have a lot of open diversity of where you can cast, a lot of pros will recommend throwing a weed guard, weed guard octopus hook like this one. It will help you be able to cast in the thicker cover, be able to get this wacky rig in heavier cover. A lot of people like it. I prefer just to throw the regular standard 2-aught octopus hook. I feel like that's good for big fish, small fish. It will hook them all. And the weed guard isn't really necessary unless you know you're going to be fishing around cover. If you're going to go fishing and you're planning on going to a lake, I do recommend picking up some weed guard ones just in case if you find yourself in a situation where you're like, I probably should throw something that would protect, the hook from being stuck in all this algae / weeds. So I do recommend getting them. But if you're just going to a pond and there's not a lot of scum, not a lot of vegetation, I would definitely recommend just getting the standard octopus hook. You don't need anything else. It's up to you. I prefer the 2-aught. You can go bigger if you want. Smaller, I would definitely not recommend just because it's a pretty large presentation and these fish are swallowing it. If you ever get the chance to see how a bass eats a wacky rig, it's most of the time they just swallow it like right in the center. And honestly, having a bigger hook but not too big is perfect for me. That's what I like to throw, but you guys can mess around. You guys can play around with that and see what you guys like the best. Now, with that said, there are things to protect your wacky rig. Wacky rigs are going to be like one of your top soft plastics that will get ripped the most just because of the hook being right in the center and you pulling on that hook and having a very small margin between each edge of the soft plastic, causing easy rips. With that said, they do make those wacky worm rings, but with that, you have to hook it sideways. And like I mentioned earlier, the bass usually swallow it in the middle. So completely in the middle, right down the middle, they just swallow it. And with that said, you are hoping that that hook gets to the side of their mouth. And often you'll have trouble getting that hook into the side of their mouth when you have it rigged like that. So that's why I recommend just not using O-rings. I mean, you can use the wacky worm rings. Go ahead. I would rather break more lures and catch more fish than save my lures and catch less fish. That's just how I prefer to go fishing. So you guys could do whatever you guys want, obviously, but this is a tip that I have. Just stay away from the O-rings. Just try to hook it the best you can. You know, you're going to go through a lot of worms, but you're going to be catching a lot of fish. So the last thing that people use when they throw wacky rigs, which technically at that point isn't a wacky rig, it's considered a Nico rig, is they put a nail weight and they put it in the one side of the worm, which helps the worm fall a little faster. Honestly, in my opinion, you shouldn't be using this unless you're in more than 10 feet of water. Like, you don't need it. Now for some tips on how to use it. Now that you have the hook, you have the worm, you have nail weight, maybe you don't have nail weight, maybe whatever, you have everything ready. How are you going to use this? In my opinion, you're casting towards structure, you're casting towards areas where bass are going to be holding, because when you're throwing a lure like this, you're not really targeting fish that are going out schooling for bait fish. You're going for fish that are holding structure, that are trying to ambush some prey. So what you're going to do is you're going to cast out, depending on what you have, you know, edges, weeds, structure, whatever it may be. You're going to cast out. And the most important thing that I will say about wacky rig fishing, if you do not do this, you will not be catching fish. Patience. You have to let the worm hit the bottom. 9.9 times out of 10, the bass are eating it on the drop. They're not eating it when you're twitching it. They're not eating it when it's sitting on the bottom. They're eating it as it's falling to the bottom. But with that said, you have to let it fall all the way to the bottom. The reason is bass could wait right before it hits the bottom for them to eat it. And if you twitch it, then they might get spooked off, or something else might trigger them just to be like, I don't want to eat that anymore. Let the bait fall all the way to the bottom. You have to be patient. And that's another thing. That's another tip that I will say. This is not a lure for you to go cast out and quickly work back. This is for you to cast out in areas that you know or suspect that there's going to be bass. This is not like throwing a chatterbait across the entire lake trying to figure out where the bass are. This is like, you know where the fish would be. You're casting there. You're giving a slow, soft approach. And I promise you, it's going to work every time as long as you're patient. Be patient. Let it hit the bottom. The second tip I'll give you is every time a bass eats one of these baits, they eat it from the center. Like I said, they pretty much gulp it in from the center, taking the entire thing in, but they eat it from the center. With that said, the best way to set the hook with that is straight up every single time. Just because you hook it to the side, it might twist weirdly, get stuck on the lure. The best way, literally just a nice hard set right up, and you'll have it perfectly hooked every single time. I promise you. That is the best way to set the hook. I've done it many different ways, just by habit, you know, setting to the right, setting to the left, wherever I can. And you can do it. It will hook the fish, but for the best chance is to hook just straight up. I promise you that is the best way to set the hook with a wacky rig. And the last tip I will give you is when you're twitching it, be very gentle about it. Don't just jerk it through the water, you know, be very gentle. Because I honestly find if you do a nice, gentle, you know, 2 taps up, the worm will kind of twitch perfectly, like not too aggressively, but perfectly, to the point where it catches the fish's attention and then slowly falls back down, and it creates the best action that this worm can give you. And that's the best way for you to fish this. That's the best way to set the hook. It's a very slow, patient lure, but I promise you, it will get you so many baits. But baits? So many bites. It's incredible. It will become one of your favorite styles to fish. It works 99% of the time, honestly. I've not had a day where I'm like, oh, dang, I didn't have at least a bite on this. But yeah, one thing I also will say about this is do not be afraid to change it up. Do different things. Remember, it's a finesse bait. So change it. Add a weight. Change where you put the hook. You know, put it closer to one side, or I don't know, make sure it's more centered. Change the color of it. There's millions of different colors because that's the greatest thing changed about this lure. Every single company has the same style. It's just a stick. It's a stick bait. But the colors are so different and unique. Try different colors. See what works. Do not be afraid to experiment. You know, just because one color works one day doesn't mean the color will work the next day. Try something different. And yeah, hope you guys do enjoy. Let me know what other lures you guys want to see. What other challenges. What else you want to see on this channel. Hope you guys did enjoy. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.